Hi guys, this is the Python series. Now we will discuss about the functions. What is function? Function is a group of related statements that performs a specific task. For example, addition of two numbers. Okay, so this is my task. So how many statements we have to write to find the addition of two numbers? 3 or 4 statements we need. Okay, so these 3 statements are grouped together, adding two numbers. We will get the result. What is the advantage of function? Code reusability. There is no need to write the same code again and again for different inputs. What are the types of functions? The first one is built-in function. The second one is user-defined function. Okay, already we have seen so many built-in functions like a print function, type of function, input function. These are all the inbuilt functions. User-defined function, this is the second category of function. So the name itself, we know the meaning. These functions will be created by the user only, the programmer only. Okay, so now we will discuss about the user-defined functions. How to create the user-defined functions. Okay, if we want to create any user-defined functions means we need to create 2 parts. First part is the definition part. The second part is the call statement. Okay, so how to create the definition part? This is the syntax to create the definition part of the function. Okay, def is the keyword and the name of the function. Inside the round brackets, we pass the parameters. This is the optional one. Parameters or arguments. Okay, and here colon and here this is the indentation. We know already indentation is used to indicate the block of the code. So in other programming languages like C, C++, Java, we have used the curly braces to indicate the block of code. But in Python, we have to use the indentation to indicate the block of code. Okay, the next part is the call statement. So call statement syntax is the name of the function and inside the round brackets we pass the parameters. Parameters is the optional. So if we want to create any user-defined functions, we need to create 2 parts. The first part is the definition part and the second part is the call statement. Okay. Next, what is arguments or parameters? Information can be passed into functions as arguments. Okay. If we want to pass any information to the function, we can use this type of arguments. Okay, arguments is also known as the parameters. Got it? Arguments are specified after the function name inside the parenthesis. Okay, we can add as many arguments as we want. No restrictions. Okay, just to separate them with a comma, that's it. What are the types of the functions based upon the arguments and return values? Function with no argument and no return value. Function with argument and no return value. Function with no argument and with return value. Function with argument and with return value. We will discuss one by one. Here in this example, I have used the return keyword but I didn't pass any arguments. So what type is this? Function without argument but with return type. Okay, and here def is the keyword and this is the name of the method. We already discussed if we want to create any user-defined function means we need to create 2 parts. First one the definition part and the second one the call statement. Okay, so what is the syntax to create the function definition? Def keyword followed by the name of the function and followed by the parenthesis. Here there is no argument. Okay, and this is the block of this add function. This is my function name. Actually, the task is what? Adding x and y. And the added value will be returned with the help of this return keyword. Okay, so here I have initialized x value as 100 and y value as 200. And here I have used the arithmetic operator to add the x and y value and assignment operator to store the value inside the z variable. And return keyword I have used. This is used to return the value. Okay. And Here we have the simple output statement. Okay. And this is the output statement, and this is what? The call statement. This is the second part of the function. Okay, this is the definition part and this is the call statement. Okay, after encounter this line, the control jumps from this call statement to the definition part. So this is the function call statement. This is the function definition part. Okay, so what happens here? We have 4 statements. Okay, and it returns the added value, that is 300. So what the control will do? The control carries 200 and jumps from the 6th line to the 8th line, and that 300 will be printed on our console. Got it? Let me execute this one. Here OK is printed and addition of 2 numbers and 300 is printed. So what type is this? This is the function without argument and with return. Okay, and the second one. Here I have created 2 parts. The first part is the definition part and the second part is what? The call statement. We can use number of call statements for the same definition part for different inputs. So this is the advantage of the function. There is no need to write again and again the same code for different inputs. Okay, so this is the main advantage. Code is reused here. Okay, so actually here we have 2 call statements, but we have only a single definition part. If I want to create 3 or 5 or 10 call statements for different inputs, we can use the same definition part for addition of 2 numbers. Okay, so this is the usage of function. That is what? Code reusability. Okay, this is the main advantage. Got it? Okay, here we have the arguments. This is called the arguments. Arguments is also known as the parameters. So this is the information. Now only we have discussed what is the argument means. Information to the function definition part. So this information is coming from where? From the call statement. Okay, and here I have initialized x value is A and y value is B and Z is equal to adding these x and y value and return the added value Z to the 12th statement. Okay, that value will be printed on our console. And here the same, I have passed the different inputs x1 and y1. That value will be carried by the control and jumps to the same definition part. Okay, but this is the different inputs. Now the values of x and y are different. Okay, that value will be added and that value will be returned to the call statement again. So here the same call statement, but the inputs only different. Okay, that added value will be printed on our console. Now let me execute this one. Enter A value. So this one, this is the output for this statement. You know, input method is used to get the value from the user during the execution of the program. This is the inbuilt method. Okay, but this is the user defined method. This method is created by me. Okay, but this is the inbuilt method and this is also the inbuilt method int. Okay, we know input method always returns the string data type value. So that value will be converted into integer. The converted integer value only will be stored inside the x variable. Okay, so this process is called the typecasting. Already discussed about these things. Okay, now I give 60 and this is the output statement for the 8th one. So B value is 45 and A value 10th statement output. Now 100 and this statement is output for this one y1 value. 200. Okay. Now I press the enter key. Here addition of two numbers. This is the output statement. Here x and y is carried by the control from this call statement to this definition part. Okay, x and y value 60 and 45. And that value will be carried by the control jumps from 12th line to the second line. 60 is stored inside the A variable and 45 is stored inside the B variable, and that value will be stored inside the x and y respectively. Now the value of x is 60, value of y is 45. Okay, so after the addition of these x and y values will be stored inside the z variable. Now the value of z is 60 plus 45, 105. So that value will be returned to the 12th statement. That's why we got this output 105. And here we have one more call statement, but the inputs are different. So 100 is stored inside the x1 and 200 is stored inside the y1. And again the control carries these values from 13 to second statement. Here A value is 100, B value is 200. After the execution of all the statements, here the value 300 is returned, and here that value will be printed. That's why we got this result. Got it? Okay. The next session we will discuss about the function with argument and without return, and function without argument and without return. Okay, I hope you all understood about the function without argument and with return type, and the function with argument and with return type. In the last session we have discussed about what is function and what are the main classification of function, and also what are the types of functions based on argument and return type. We have completed only about function without argument and with return type, and function with argument and with return type. In this session we will discuss about the function with argument and without return type, and function without argument and without return type. Okay, so here this is the example program for with argument and without return type. This is the definition part, and here I have used the two call statements. Both the call statements are for this single definition part. Okay, here this is the name of the function add. Here I have given the arguments or parameters, but inside this definition part there is no return keyword. So what type is this? With argument and without return type. Okay, here I have initialized x and y using the argument values. These values will be coming from the call statement. Okay, so here I have created two call statements with different inputs. Okay, here x is one variable, and input method I have used to read the value from the user during the execution of the program. We know already the input method always returns the string data type value. That value will be converted into integer with the help of this int inbuilt method. The converted integer value will be stored inside the x variable. Likewise, here also the same. Okay, and x1 and y1. Here this is the call statement. We already know if we want to create any user-defined function, we need to create two parts. One is the definition part and another one is the call statement. In this example, I have created two call statements for the same definition part. So the code is reused. Okay, but different inputs I have given. So after encounter this line, the control carries x and y values and jumps from the 14th line to the second line. X value will be stored inside the A variable and Y value will be stored inside the B variable. And X and Y values will be initialized with the values of A and B respectively. And the values of X and Y will be added and that value will be stored inside the z variable. Here there is no return keyword. Inside the definition part itself I have the print statement. The z will be printed on our console. So the control again jumps from the 6th line to the 15th line. Here the second call statement for the same definition part. Okay, add is the call statement but different inputs x1 and y1. Okay, so the control carries these values and jumps from the 15th line to again the second line. Okay, and here the x1 value will be stored and y1 will be stored inside the b variable, and the x and y variables will be initialized with the help of the a and b values respectively, and the values are added. That value will be stored into az, that value will be printed on our console, isn't it? So here we have used the arguments but we didn't return any value from the definition to the call statement. Now let me execute this one. Here enter a value 23, enter b value 45 and enter a1 value 100 and enter b1 value 500. So addition of 23 and 45. A value is 23, B value is 45. So this is the result for this statement. And 100 and 500. Okay, so this is the result for this call statement. Got it? I hope you all understood about the function with argument and without return type. The fourth type is function without argument and without return type. Okay, so this is the definition part. Here there is no argument and here there is no return type. This type is function without argument and without return type. Okay, so here x I have initialized, y I have initialized. Addition of x and y will be stored inside the z and that value will be printed. So this is the call statement. Actually, the execution starts only from the 8th line because here we have only the definition part. Okay, so the execution starts only from the 8th line. After encounter this line, the control jumps from the 8th line to the 2nd line and all the statements will be executed. Okay, so now let me execute this one. Addition of x and y is 990. 900 plus 90, 990. This is our output. So this is the function without argument and without return. Got it? So we have completed the function types based on the arguments and return. So what are the types we have seen? Function without argument and with return, function with argument and with return, function with argument and without return, finally function without argument and without return. Okay. In this session, we will discuss about the types of arguments in the function definition. There are two types of arguments. The first one is default arguments. The second one is the variable length arguments. In this session, we will discuss about the default arguments. What is default arguments? Python allows us to initialize the arguments at the function definition. Okay, if the value of any of the arguments is not provided at the time of function call, then that argument value can be initialized with the value given in the function definition. I repeat it again. Python allows us to initialize the arguments at the function definition. Okay, if the value of any of the arguments is not provided at the time of a function call, then that value can be initialized with the value given in the function definition. Okay, let's see this example. Here I have created the display. user-defined function. And inside this display function, I have the country argument. And I have given the value Africa to the country. So this value is the default value. Okay. And inside this display method, I have used the print method to print the country on my console. And I have created 3 call statements for the same definition part. Okay, after encounter this statement, what will happen? The control carries India and jumps from the 4th line to the 2nd line. Here, the India only will be stored inside the country. Okay, so this Africa won't be used because here we have the value inside the call statement. So this India only will be stored inside the country. This Africa won't be stored inside the country. So what is the output for this call statement? India. After then the control jumps from the 3rd line to the 5th line. Here we have America. Now the control carries America. That value only will be stored inside the country. The Africa won't be stored inside the country. Okay, so the America only will be printed on our console. After then the control jumps from the 3rd line to the 6th line. In this statement, I didn't have any argument value. Okay, this is also the call statement, but here there is no argument value. So now what will happen? The control jumps from the 6th line to the 2nd line. Now only this Africa will be stored inside the country. Okay, so if the value of the argument is not provided at the time of the call statement, then only the value of the argument can be initialized with the value given in the definition. Okay, so this is called the default argument. Okay, now let me execute this one. Here, this is the call statement. This is the output for this call statement, and this is the output for this call statement, and this is the output for this call statement. Okay, if the value is not provided at the time of the call statement only, the value of the argument can be initialized with the value given in the definition. That's why we got Africa here. Okay. So if I am not give any default value here means what will happen? Actually 4th and 5th statements won't give any errors because here we have the values. But the 6th call statement didn't have any values. And also here there is no default value. So we will get the error for this statement. Okay, so in order to avoid this type of errors, we can use this type of default arguments. Okay, let me execute this one. Now, here India is printed, America is printed, but here there is no value for this argument. That's why we got this error. Display missing one required positional argument country. But if I use the default value for this country means we won't get any errors. Am I correct? So now I give Africa here means this error will be gone. Okay, actually here there is no value, but here we have the default value. So if we don't provide any value for the call statement means the default value will be executed. Okay, if I am not give this default value here means we got this type of error only. Got it? Let me execute again. Now the error is not present. See this example. Here I have created one user-defined function display and I have two arguments x and y, and also I have given the default values for x and y arguments. Okay, so x value is 10 and y value is 12. So these values are the default values for x and y respectively. Okay, and what is the role of this display? It simply prints the x and y value on our console. And here I have created three call statements. So fifth statement holds a single argument value. Sixth call statement holds two argument values. The seventh call statement holds nothing. Okay, so what will happen? After encounter this line, the control carries 22 and jumps from the fifth line to the second line. Okay, here we have the default values, but 22 will be stored inside the x, because here we have the value for x. So this 10 won't be stored inside the x, this 22 only will be stored inside the x variable. But here there is no value for y argument. So what will happen? This default value will be stored inside the y. Okay, and the sixth statement, I have two argument values. So the 100 will be stored inside the x variable and 20 will be stored inside the y variable. So the default values won't be stored. The values from the call statement only will be stored. Okay, and here seventh statement, no values for x and y. Then what will happen? The default values only will be executed for x and y values. Got it? Let me execute this. Here, this is the output for fifth statement, 22 x value, but here there is no y value. That's why the default value is printed here. And here we have values for x and y. So the values from call statement is printed 100 and 20, not the default values. But here there is no x and y values. So what will happen? The default values 10 and 12 is printed. Got it? I hope you all understood about what is default argument and why we need this type of default arguments. Why we need? Sometimes we won't give any values to the arguments. At that time, if we provide the default values, means we won't get any errors. Otherwise, we will get the errors. Okay, that's why we need the default arguments. In the last session, we have discussed about the default arguments in function definition. In this session, we will discuss about the variable length arguments in function definition. Variable length argument is also known as the arbitrary arguments. Okay, what is variable length arguments? In large projects, we may not know the number of arguments to be passed in advance. In such cases, Python provides us the flexibility to offer the comma-separated values, which are internally treated as tuples at the function call. By using the variable length arguments, we can pass any number of arguments. There are two types of variable length arguments. One is the positional argument, the second one is the keyword arguments. In this session, we will discuss about the positional arguments. Let's see this example. I have created the function. My fun is my function name. Inside this function, I have the argument with asterisk symbol. This is the syntax. Okay. So, the argument with asterisk, it indicates this is the variable length argument. Okay. And inside this my fun, I have the print statement and I have implemented the for loop. And I want to know the type of this argument. That's why I have used the type of method here. We already discussed about the type of method. Type of method is used to return the type of the given variable. And here I have implemented the for loop. Okay, for the first iteration, the first value will be stored inside this variable. And that value will be printed with the hello on my console. Okay, likewise, the second value and the third value, fourth value, fifth value, sixth value. So, the number of iterations should be the number of elements inside the tuple object, because this is the comma separated values which are internally treated as tuple. Okay, so we will get hello Kala, hello Meena, hello Ram, hello Leela, hello Priya and hello Geeta on my console. So this type of function is called the variable length arguments. Okay, so in which situation this type of variable length arguments will be used? In large projects we may not know the number of arguments to be passed in advance. Okay, so in those situations we can use this type of positional argument function. Let me execute this one. Here the type of the argument is tuple. The execution starts only from the function call statement. We know already. This is your definition part. This is the call statement for this definition part. And these values which are internally treated as the tuple. Okay, the control carries these values and jumps from this function call statement to the function definition part. Inside this variable, all the values will be stored. Okay, so what type is this? This is the tuple object. Okay, and for the first iteration, Kala is stored inside the argument. And that value will be printed with hello. That's why we got this value. Likewise, hello Meena, hello Ram, hello Leela, hello Priya, and finally hello Geeta is printed. I hope you all understood about what is the variable length arguments and why we need this type of variable length arguments. Okay, this is the name of the function sum all. We know already the execution starts only from the call statement, not from the definition part. So here sum all is the call statement. The control carries these values and jumps from the call statement to the definition part. And all the values will be stored inside the values because this is the variable length argument. Okay, and here result I have initialized 0. 0 is the value for result. Okay, and I have implemented the for loop. Inside the values we have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 elements. For the first iteration, the first element 1 will be stored inside the num variable and here result plus equal num. This is the add and assign operator. This means result is equal to result plus num. The result value is 0, num value is 1. So the 1 will be stored inside the result variable and then the second iteration of the for loop, the second element from the values will be stored inside the num variable. Okay, and here result is equal to result plus num. Okay, so result value is 1 and num value is 2. After the addition of result and num, 3 will be stored inside the result variable. Likewise, the third element, fourth element and fifth element will be added. Okay, finally we will get the addition of all elements, that is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. Okay, then the result will be returned with the help of this return keyword. Okay, so that value will be printed on our console. Okay, likewise here we have some different inputs. So this statement, so this call statement is used to adding these elements. Okay, let me execute this one. Here 15. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, 15 is the result for this 7th one and 177, 100 plus 20 plus 13 plus 44. So this is the result for this 8th statement. This is the example program for variable length argument, addition of all elements. And we have one more example. In this case, execution starts only from the 8th statement because here only we have the call statement and the control carries all the values and jumps from the 8th statement to the function definition part for this call statement, and these values will be stored inside this arguments because here we have the variable length arguments asterisk with the name of the variable. Okay, and here I have the variable name result. I assigned the 0th index value of this arguments to this result variable, that is 40 will be stored inside the result variable. And I have implemented the for loop. So arguments holds all the values. For the first iteration 40 will be stored inside the num variable, and here I have implemented the decision making statement. After the evaluation of this expression, we will get either true or false. If it returns true, the if block will be executed. Okay, so num holds 40 and result also holds 40. So num less than 40, that is 40 less than 40 returns false only. So the if block will be skipped and the next element of arguments will be stored inside the num variable, that is 56 will be stored inside the num variable. Here after the evaluation of this expression, we will get true only because num holds 40 and result holds 56. So 40 less than 56 returns true. So the control comes inside the if block and the result will be updated, okay, to the num variable value. That is, result will be now 56. The third iteration, the third element 67 of this argument value will be stored inside the num variable. Here num value is 67 and result value is 56. So after the evaluation of this expression, we will get false only. So the if block will be skipped and the control jumps from the fifth line to the third line, and the fourth element of this argument will be stored inside the num variable. Now the value of num is 7 and the value of result is 56. So after the evaluation of this expression, we will get true one. Now the result will be updated. Now the value of result will be 7. Okay, and the final iteration, that is 21 element will be stored inside the num variable, and num value is 21 and result value is 7. After the evaluation of this expression, we will get false only because num value is 21, result value is 7. False means the if block will be skipped. Now the result holds the 7. So that value will be returned. So we will get the smallest value among the given value. Let me execute this one. So we got 7. Okay. Why we need this type of variable length arguments? In large projects, we may not know the number of arguments to be passed in advance. In such cases, we can use this type of variable length argument. Okay, these comma separated values which are internally treated as tuple. I hope you all understood about what is the variable positional argument or arbitrary positional argument. We will discuss the arbitrary keyword argument in the next session. In the last session, we have discussed about the non-keyword arguments. It's also known as variable length positional arguments. In this session, we will discuss about the keyword arguments. Okay, here I have created the function myFun. Okay, and here inside the round brackets, I have used two asterisk symbols. For non-keyword, we have used a single asterisk symbol with argument, but this is the keyword arguments. So we have to use two asterisk symbol with the name of the argument. Okay, here inside this function, I have used the for loop. Keyword arguments dot items. This is the inbuilt method. It returns the key and value of this keyword arguments. Okay, so the key value will be stored inside the K and the value from keyword arguments will be stored inside the V variable. Okay, so that values will be printed with the help of the print method. Here we have used the format specifier %s. This is for the string format specifier. Okay, so this format specifier will be replaced by the value of k, and this format specifier will be replaced by the value of v. So for the next iteration, the next element key values will be printed. Likewise, all the elements inside this keyword arguments will be printed on our console. Okay, here this is the call statement. Execution starts from this call statement only. Here we have the key and value, key, value, key, value. So what are the keys? First, mid and last. These are the keys. What are the values? 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so this key value is 1, mid key value is 2, last key value is 3. After encounter this line, the control jumps from the 6th line to the 1st line. Okay, here these values will be stored inside this keyword arguments. Okay, here we have to use the double asterisk symbols. So inside this keyword arguments, we have key and value pairs. Okay, now let me execute this one. So for the first iteration, the key and value is printed. Second iteration, we got the key and value. For the third iteration, we got the key last and the value 3. Let's take this example. Here I have created the car class, and inside the car class, I have created the init method. We know already the init method is used to initialize the variables which are belongs to the car class. Okay, we have the self keyword and the variable length keyword arguments. And inside the init method, we have initialized the speed and color variables. Okay, and here I have used the keyword arguments. Okay, this key value will be stored inside the speed, and C is the key. That C value will be stored inside the color. So this is the class, car class. And here I have created the objects, Skoda, BMW, Creta for the same car class. Okay, and here I have used the class. Okay, here I have passed the keyword argument value. During the creation of the Skoda, what will happen? The init method will be invoked automatically. So the control jumps from the 11th statement to the 4th statement, and the key value pairs will be stored inside the keyword arguments. That is, S200 C red will be stored inside this argument, and here the speed will be initialized with the value of 200, because this is the key, isn't it? So this key value is 200. That value will be stored inside the speed. Likewise, this is the key. So what is the value of this key? Red will be stored inside the color. Okay, and again the control jumps back to the 12th line. Here BMW. This is the name of the object and this is the class name. Here we have passed the keyword argument values. Okay, so two pairs I have passed. So S is the key, C is the key, 250 is the value for S and black is the value for C. So the control carries these values and jump from the 12th line to the 4th line. Here the S250C black key value pairs will be stored inside this argument. The key value will be stored inside the speed and the C value will be stored inside the color. Again the control jumps back to the Creta. This is the name of the object. This is the name of the class, and here these key value pairs will be carried by the control and jumps from the 13th line to the 4th line. So these values will be stored inside the speed and color. And again the control jumps back to the 16th line. Skoda.color returns the red and BMW.speed returns 250. Let me execute this. So I got the output. Okay. I hope you all understood what is the usage of keyword arguments. Why we need variable length arguments? In large projects, sometimes we may not know the number of arguments to be passed in advance. In such cases only we can use this type of positional argument or keyword argument according to our requirement. Okay. Let's see this example. Here my function name is concatenate. And inside the round brackets, I have the keyword arguments. Okay. Here we have the double asterisk and the name of the variable. So what is the task of this concatenate? It is used to concatenate all the words that are the values of the keyword arguments. Here inside this function, I have created the result variable. I have initialized the result variable as empty and I have implemented the for loop. This is the name of the variable. This is the name of the keyword argument. Here I have used the inbuilt method values. This method returns the values from this keyword arguments. Okay. And the values from the keyword arguments will be concatenated with the help of this statement, that is result is equal to result plus argument. We know this is the add and assign operator. This means result is equal to result plus argument. After the concatenation of all the values from the keyword arguments, that result will be returned with the help of the return statement. Okay. This is the call statement. Execution starts only from this 8th statement only. Okay. So these are all the keyword arguments. That means key value pairs. A is the key, God is the value for A. B is the key, is the value for B. C is the key, always is the value for C. D is the key, with is the value for D. E is the key, as is the value for E. Okay. The control carries all the key value pairs and jumps from the 8th line to the definition part for this call statement. And here we have the keyword arguments. Okay. So these key value pairs will be stored inside this argument. And here we have the result variable. For the first iteration, the value for the first key, God, will be stored inside the argument. And that value will be added to the result variable. Likewise, is will be stored inside the arg. That value will be concatenated with the existing result value. Likewise, always and with, finally as will be added to the result variable. Okay. After the execution of this for loop, the control comes here. Now the result holds all the values of the keys. Okay. So God is always with us. That value will be stored inside the result. That value will be returned to the call statement. Here we have the print. So this print statement will be used to print the concatenated value on our console. I hope you all understood about the execution flow of this program. Let me execute this one. So this is my output. God is always with us. Okay. All the words are concatenated with the help of this for loop implementation. Okay. So in this case, we have used the keyword arguments. Keyword arguments means key value pairs will be passed from the call statement to the definition part. Okay. Next example. Here total fruits. This is the name of the method. Inside the round brackets, we have the keyword argument. Argument name is fruits. Here we have used the double asterisk symbol. This indicates this is the keyword argument. Okay. And inside this total fruits, I have initialized the total variable. 0 is the value for total. Here I have implemented the for loop. Okay. And the values for this fruits keyword argument returns the values from the fruits keyword argument. Okay, for the first iteration, the first value will be stored and that value will be added to the total variable. Okay, likewise, all the values inside the fruits keyword arguments will be added into the total variable, and the added value will be returned with the help of the return keyword. Okay, so that value will be returned to the call statement. Okay, so here I have used 3 call statements for the same definition part. Okay, so we already know we can create number of call statements for the single user defined function. So in this example, I have created 3 call statements. Okay, here I have passed 3 argument values. Okay, so grapes is equal to 5, mango is equal to 7, apple is equal to 8. Grapes is the name of the key and 5 is the value for this key, and mango is the name of the key, 7 is the value for this mango key, and apple is the key and 8 is the value for this key apple. Okay, after encounter this line, the control carries these key value pairs and jumps from the 8th line to the definition part for this call statement. So the control comes here and these values will be stored inside the fruits keyword argument. Okay, and the control comes inside the function. Here we have the total variable, its value is 0. For the first iteration, this fruits.values return this 5. Okay, this is the key. So here we have the values inbuilt method. So this values inbuilt method returns the 5 value for the first iteration. Okay, so that 5 will be stored inside the total. Okay, because total is equal to total plus amount. Total value is 0, amount value is now 5. So 0 plus 5, 5. So that value will be stored inside the total. Likewise, the second iteration, the 7 will be added to the existing value of total. So existing value of total is 5. Now 7. So 5 plus 7. So what is the value? 12. Likewise, the third iteration, 8 will be added to the existing one. So 12 plus 8, 20. Okay, so what is the net result? 20. That value will be returned with the help of the return statement. So the control again jumps back to the 8th line. 20 will be printed on our console. Okay, likewise, this is the second call statement for the same function definition part. So the control carries these 4 key value pairs and jumps from the 9th line to the first line. So these values will be stored inside the fruits keyword argument. Okay, so again the same process will be going on. Okay, so what is the total amount after the execution of this for loop? 5 plus 7, 12, 12 plus 8, 20, 20 plus 10, 30. So 30 will be printed on our console. Next 10th line, here we have only 2 key value pairs. Okay, this is the call statement. So this is the key value pairs. These values will be carried by the control and jumps from the 10th line to the first line. So these key value pairs will be stored inside the fruits keyword argument, and again the same process will be going on. Okay, so what is the value of total now? 5 plus 7, 12 only. So that value will be returned and 12 will be printed on our console. Okay, let me execute this one. Here 20 is the result for the 8th call statement and 30 is the result for the 9th call statement and the 12 is the result for the 10th call statement. Okay, I hope you all understood about the execution flow of this program. And here we have one more example. Print values. Here we have used the keyword arguments. Okay, and here I have implemented the for loop. Here I have used the items inbuilt method. So items returns the key and value. Okay, so in this case we have used only the values inbuilt method. So this returns only the value of the key. But here I have used the items inbuilt method for this keyword arguments. So what is the result for this inbuilt method? It returns the key as well as the value. Okay, so that values will be stored inside the key and value respectively. Okay, and here we have used the format inbuilt method. Okay, these are the placeholders. We already discussed about this format method. Okay, so for the first placeholder, the key will be placed. For the second placeholder, the value will be stored. Okay, this is the call statement. Okay, after encounter this line, the control carries these key value pairs and jumps from the 11th line to the first line. So these values will be stored inside this keyword arguments. Okay, and for the first iteration, name1 key and ram value will be stored inside the key and value respectively. Okay, so name1 will be placed here and ram will be placed inside this placeholder. Likewise, for the second iteration, name2 will be placed the first placeholder and Priya will be placed in the next placeholder. Likewise, name3 and Vani, name4 and Palani, name5 and Lada. This is the fifth iteration value. Okay, let me execute this one. Here, for the first iteration, what will happen? Keyword arguments dot items returns name1 and ram. So name1 is stored inside key and ram is stored inside value. Okay, that's why we got this value. Okay, the value of this is the value for the first placeholder and this is the value for the second placeholder. Okay, and the second iteration, the name2 is stored inside the key and Priya is stored inside the value. That's why we got this result. For the third iteration, name3 is stored inside the key and Vani is stored inside the value. That's why we got this result. For the fourth iteration, name4 is stored inside the key and Palani is stored inside the value. That's why we got this output. And the fifth iteration, last iteration, okay, name5 is stored inside the key and Lada is stored inside the value. That's why we got the value of name5 is Lada. Okay, now let's discuss about the lambda function. What is lambda function? Lambda function is a function that is defined without a name. Okay, so what is the difference between the normal user-defined function and lambda function? In normal user-defined function, we have used the def keyword, isn't it? But for lambda function, we have to use the lambda keyword. Okay, here we have the name of the function, but in this case, we didn't have any name. That's why we can call it as the anonymous function because there is no name. Okay, now let's see this example. Here I want to find the area of the square. Okay, so this program is for finding the area of the square of the given number using the normal user-defined function. Okay, this is also the same program, but here I have used the lambda function. Okay, so here this is the keyword def and this is the name of the function area underscore square, and inside the round brackets we have passed the x variable. Okay, and this is my task. What is it? I want to find the square of the given number. So we have already discussed about the normal user-defined function. So this is the definition part. Okay, and here I have used the input method. We already discussed about the input method. Input method is used to get the input from the user during the execution of the program. Okay, input method always returns the string data type, but I need an integer. So I just convert the string input value into the integer. This is called the typecasting process. We have already discussed this concept also. So, the converted integer value will be stored inside the n variable. And this is the call statement. After encounter this line, what will happen? The control search where the function definition part for this call statement. Okay. And the control carries this n value and jumps from the fifth line to the definition part, the second line. Okay. Now that value, n value, will be stored inside the x variable. And here we have the return keyword. And the value of x will be multiplied by the value of x. That is the square of the given number will be returned with the help of the return keyword. Again the control jumps back to the third line, to the fifth line. Here we have the print statement. So the square of the given number will be printed on our console. So this is the normal user-defined function, isn't it? Here I have used the lambda keyword. Okay. Lambda function, that is, it does not have any function name. Okay, this is the name of the variable. Lambda is the keyword, and here this is the argument and the colon, and here this is the expression. This is the syntax for the lambda function. Lambda keyword and then the argument and colon and the expression. Okay. So, expression must be a single, but if we want to pass more than one argument, we can. Okay. So, we have to memorize the syntax of the lambda function. Now, the same. Here, I have used the n variable and the input method and typecasting process. So, the converted integer value will be stored inside the n variable. Here, we have the y of n. What is y? Y is the name of the variable. And here inside the round brackets I have passed the n variable. So what will happen after encounter this line? The control jumps from the 9th line to the 7th line. Here we have the lambda function. Okay. And this n variable value will be stored inside this argument. Okay, that is n value will be stored inside the x variable, x argument, x parameter, all are same. Okay, and this is the expression. Okay, so the argument value will be multiplied by the argument value of x. That is the multiplication of x and x. After the evaluation of this expression, the control again jumps back to the 9th statement. The multiplication of x and x will be printed here. Got it? So this is the difference between the normal user-defined function and the lambda function. So here we need only 3 number of statements, but here we have 4 number of statements. Okay, so this is the advantage. If we use lambda function instead of the normal user-defined function, we need only less code compared with the normal user-defined function. Got it? Let me execute this one. Enter the n value. Okay. So, I give 4. So, what is the result for this? X into x. 4 into 4. 4 4s are 16. And this is the output for this 8th statement. Now, I give the same 4. Okay. So, what is the result? 16. The result of the normal user-defined function and the lambda function are the same. Okay, 16 and 16. Okay, I hope you all understood about the execution flow of the normal user-defined function and the lambda function. You have to memorize the syntax for lambda function. Okay, lambda keyword followed by the arguments and then the colon and the expression. Okay, expression must be a single, but we can pass more number of arguments. Okay, according to our requirement. And we have one more function. Here I want to add 4 numbers. Here we have the x variable inside the round brackets. I have passed 4 values 10, 2, 5, 20. So what will happen? The control jumps from the third line to the second line. Here 10 will be stored inside a variable, 2 will be stored inside the b variable, and 5 will be stored inside the c variable, and 20 will be stored inside the d variable. Okay, in this case we have 4 arguments and then colon, and this is the expression, single expression only. Okay, a plus b plus c plus d. So what is the result? 10 plus 2, 12, 12 plus 5, 17, 17 plus 20, 37. Okay, let me execute this one. 37 is our output. Okay, one more example. Here I want to find the biggest number. Okay, here this is the name of the variable. I have used the lambda keyword and arguments a and b followed by the colon, and here I have used the decision making statement. If, and this is the expression a greater than b. Okay, after the evaluation of this expression, we will get either true or false. If it returns true means the A is the result. If it returns false means the B is the result. Okay, we have the print statement. This is the name of the variable max, and I have passed 2 values 11, 209. After encounter this line, the control jumps from the third line to the second line. Okay, 11 will be stored inside the A variable, 209 will be stored inside the B variable. Okay, we just apply the values here. So what happens? 11 greater than 209. So it returns false only. False means what happens? This B only will be the result. Okay, that is 209 is the bigger number. Okay, let me execute this one. Here we have the 209, the largest number. Got it? The next example, here I have created the str1. This is the name of the variable, and this is my string literal, and here I have used the UPP. This is the name of the variable and the lambda keyword, and this is the argument, and here argument dot upper. This is the inbuilt method. So upper returns the uppercase letters of the str2 argument value. Okay, and here we have the variable UPP. Inside the round brackets, I have passed the str1. str1 is what? God is great. Okay, after encounter this line, what happens? The control jumps from the third line to the second line. Okay, and here the God is great will be stored inside the str2. And here we have the expression str2 dot upper means all the letters will be converted to the capital only. Okay, so what will happen? We will get the God is great, all letters or capital. Okay, let me execute. This is our output, all letters or capitals. Okay, because here we have used the upper inbuilt method. Okay, so we have completed the lambda function. So what is lambda function? Lambda function is a function that is defined without a name. Okay, that's why we can call it as lambda function is an anonymous function. Okay, now let's discuss about the map function. What is map function? Map function executes a specified function for each item in an iterable. The item is sent to the function as a parameter. Map function returns iterable map object. Okay, I repeat it again. Map function executes a specified function for each item in an iterable. Okay, the item is sent to the function as a parameter. Map function returns the iterable map object. Map function takes 2 parameters. The first one is the function. It may be user-defined function, lambda function, or inbuilt function. Okay, the second parameter is iterable. It may be list, tuple, string, etc. We can pass as many iterables as we want. Make sure the function has 1 parameter for each iterable. Okay. Let's see this example. Here I have used the inbuilt method len. So what is the role of this len method? it is used to return the length of the given string. Here, what is the result? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, the length of the string apple is 5. Okay. If I want to count the length of the 5 words or more than 5 means what I will do? I can use the looping concept like this. Okay. So, this is the name of the variable. What object is this? This is the list because inside the square brackets we have the elements. Okay. So, how many elements we have? 4 elements. Now, I want to count the number of letters for each word. What I will do? I have to implement the for loop concept. Okay. For I in words, membership operator in. Okay. For the first iteration, from words list object, welcome will be stored inside the I variable. Okay. Here I have used the inbuilt method len. Already we know len method returns the number of letters inside the variable 7, isn't it? For the first iteration, this method returns 7. Likewise, for the second iteration, this second element 2 will be stored inside the I variable. Here, len of 2 returns 2. For the third iteration, my, that is the third element, will be stored inside the I variable. So, len of my returns 2. For the fourth iteration, home will be stored inside the I variable. So, len of home returns 4. Okay, let me execute this one. So, this is the output for the first statement, length of apple. Okay, that's why we got 5. Okay, and this is the output for the first iteration of this for loop. That is, len of welcome returns 7. Len of 2 returns 2. Len of my returns 2. Len of home returns 4. Okay, after the execution of this for loop, we got this result. Got it? Now, how to use the map function instead of this for loop? Okay, here I have used the map function. So, what is the usage of map function? Map executes a specified function for each item in an iterable, and map function returns the iterable map object, that is not a human readable one. For the first element from the words will be passed to the len method. Okay, then len of welcome returns 7, and the second element of words 2 will be passed to this function. So, 2 will be printed, and the third element of words will be passed to this function. Okay, so this one 2 will be printed, and the fourth element of words will be passed as a parameter to this len method. So, what is the result? 4. Okay, and this returns only the iterable map object, that is not a readable one. I have to convert the map object into some iterable object, like here I have given the list. Okay, let me execute this one. Here, this is the output for the 8th statement, and this is the output for the 9th statement. Okay, so map returns the iterable map object like this. This is not a readable one, so I have to use any iterable object. In this statement, I have used the list object. Okay, list of this map function. So I got the result like this. Because I have given list, that's why we got inside the square brackets, we have the elements. One more example. Here, this is my list object. Here I have given 3 elements, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Here I have used the user-defined function. Okay, in the previous example, we have used the inbuilt method. In this example, we have used the my function, that is the user-defined function. Okay, so what is the role of this function? It is used to return the length of the given string. Okay, so here I have given 3 elements. Okay, what is it? This is the list object. Here I have used the map. Inside the round brackets, we have 2 parameters. The first one is the function, the second one is the iterable object. Okay, so from the iterable object Li, the first element 1 will be passed to this function as a parameter. Okay, so it returns what? The length of 1, because this is the user-defined function. So what is the role? It is used to return the length of the given string. Okay, so what will happen? So the 1 will be stored inside the str1. So it returns the length of 1, that is 3 will be printed on our console. Okay, and the second element from the Li, that is 2, will be passed as argument to this my function. That is 2 will be stored inside the str1. So it returns length of str1, that is length of 2. 3 will be printed on our console. Okay, the last element 3 will be passed as the argument for this my function. So 3 will be stored inside the str1. Length of str1 returns 5. Okay, and print of x returns the map object. That is not a human readable one. So in this example, I have used the tuple iterable object. So tuple of x, it returns the tuple object. Okay. Now let me execute this. Here, this is the output for the 6th one, and this is the output for the 7th statement. So 3 for 1 and 3 for 2 and 5 for 3. And one more example. Here I have used the lambda. Okay, map is the function. Inside the round brackets, I have passed 2 arguments. One is the function and another one is the iterable object. Okay, so in this example, I have used the lambda function. Okay, in the previous example, I have used the user-defined function. The first example, I have used the inbuilt function. Okay, here I have used the lambda function. And this is the list object. Okay, iterable object. The first element from the nums will be passed as the argument for the lambda function. Okay, that is 1 will be stored inside the n variable. So 2 into 1 returns 2. And the second element from the iterable will be passed as the argument for the lambda function. So 2 will be stored inside the n. So 2 2s are 4. And the third element from the nums will be passed as the argument for lambda function. So 3 will be stored inside the n, and 2 3s are 6. And the fourth element will be passed as the argument for the lambda argument. Now the 4 will be stored inside the n variable. So 2 4s are 4 2s are 8. Okay, and finally the fifth element will be passed as the argument for the lambda, and now the 5 will be stored inside the n variable. So 2 into 5, 10 will be printed on our console. Okay, let me execute this one. So what is the result? 2. First 2 1s are 2, and 2 2s are 4, and 3 2s are 6, and 4 2s are 8. Finally 5 2s are 10. So we got this result. Now let's discuss about passing multiple iterable arguments to map function. Let's see this example. I have passed 2 iterable objects. In the previous examples, we have seen one function and one iterable object, isn't it? But in this example, I have used the 2 iterable object. Already we have discussed. We can pass as many iterables as we want. Okay, in this example, I have passed 2. Just to make sure, the function has one parameter for each iterable. Okay, here I have the user-defined function, sum. So what is the role of this sum? It is used to add the a and b values. Okay, and here I have created the two list objects, LST1, LST2. Okay, LST1 holds 5 elements and LST2 holds 5 elements. Okay, here I have used the map function. First parameter is the user-defined function, and here I have used the two iterable objects. Okay, just to make sure, the function has one parameter for each iterable. Okay, so the first element from the LST1 will be passed as the parameter for this user-defined function, and the first from LST2 will be passed as the parameter for the sum user-defined function. So what will happen? 2 and 1 will be passed as the argument for the user-defined function. So 2 will be stored inside the a variable and 1 will be stored inside the b variable. Okay, so what is the result? 2 plus 1, 3 will be printed. Okay, likewise 4 and 3 will be added. Okay, and 6 and 5 will be added. 8 and 7 will be added. 12 and 13 will be added. Okay, the added value will be printed on our console. And the map object will be converted to the list object with the help of the list inbuilt method. Got it? Let me execute this one. Here 2 plus 1, 3, 4 plus 3, 7, 6 plus 5, 11, 8 plus 7, 15, 12 plus 13, 25. Got it? What is map function? Map function is the inbuilt function. It executes a specified function for each item in an iterable. The item is sent to the function as a parameter. Okay, it returns the iterable map object. Okay, and we can pass as many iterables as we want, and make sure function has one parameter for each iterable. I hope you all understood about the map function. Let's see one more example. Here I have created 3 list objects: name, ID, marks. Name list holds Amala, Rani and Priya. ID list holds 101, 102, 103. Marks holds 78%, 98% and 100%. Okay, here I have used 3 list objects. In the last example we have seen only 2 list objects. In this case I have used 3 list objects. This is the function. What type is this? This is the lambda function. Okay, here we have 3 arguments. What we will get? We will get Amala 101, 78%. Likewise, Rani 102, 98%. And then Priya 103, 100%. Let me execute this one. Here, this is our output. Okay, so this is the expression. These are all the arguments. These arguments take the values from name, ID, marks respectively. So, we got this output. We can pass as many iterable objects as we want. Okay, I hope you all understood about the map function with multiple iterable objects. We have completed this session. If you have any doubts, drop the message on the comment section. If this video is useful to you, like and share. For more videos, subscribe my channel, hit the bell icon, then only you will get the notification for my new updates. Have a nice day. Thank you.